Good morning, ma'am.
Hello.
Very
Good
warm
morning.
morning. Very warm welcome, everyone. Firstly, I would like to thank all of you for logging into our session. I'm Sudhara, an aspiring sustainability professional and a project leader at the Sustainability LLP. On call, we also have Dr. Meenakshi Singh, who is the founder and the CEO at Sustainability LLC, a green tech consultancy firm offering sustainable, innovative solutions to mitigate the climate change. First of all, today we are celebrating International Women's Day. Happy Women's Day, ma'am.
Happy Women's Day to everybody here too.
Yeah, happy Women's Day to all the women out there. So today we celebrate the strength, leadership, and vision of women working towards a sustainable and equitable world. It is inspiring to see how women leaders are shaping the future of climate action and the sustainability. Today's conversation is a tribute to their commitment, leadership, and impact. Happy Women's Day once again to all the women. Today, we at the Sustaina Greens, we have the pleasure of hosting Professor Priti Mastakar on the event of this International Women's Day. She is currently a professor at Berkeley Institute of Politics and Economics with extensive experience in teaching and academic research. She has been associated with prestigious institutions like Cambridge, MIT, Pune University. As a consultant also, she has worked on several government and corporate projects in environmental and economic modeling, uh, climate policy, and biodiversity valuation. She also conducts workshops for institutions and serves as an expert with National Green Tribunal and Maharashtra's Climate Action Cell. So we are sure that next 20 minutes will bring some insightful and thought-provoking discussion. Welcome, ma'am, once again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Happy to
Before
be
we
here.
begin, would you like to share any few opening thoughts?
I mean, the subject itself is so wide and deep that I think we'll just launch into it. Yes.
So, okay, perfect. For all the viewers who are new to this field, and for all those professionals also, let's start with some basics. And I just wanted to make a quick note for our audience. If you have any questions coming up during the session, please feel free to note them down. We will address them in the last 5 minutes. And ma'am, beginning with, can you tell us what environmental valuation is exactly about and what sparked your interest in this field of sustainability?
Yes. So first of all, environmental services, because the valuation happens of the environmental services, which are just like you have your housekeeper coming and give you housekeeping services, and your banker giving you financial services. What environment does or what nature does is far more than that, of course. It gives you food to eat, it gives you water to drink, it gives you good air, it gives you health. When they give you food, it is provisioning services. When it helps in stopping floods, it is regulating services. When it is a nutrient, the soils, when it provides nutrients, the leaves that fall and then fall, that is supporting services. And it also gives you cultural values. It also gives you mental peace. I mean, when you can ask anybody who goes into nature for a walk or anything, and you will see that the change in your mental, how good you feel, how positive you feel. So these are all the services of the environment, of nature, which we it's compulsory for us to live. It's vital for us to live. Yeah. The valuation is something that is very new to the systems all around the world. Yeah, it was first, the valuation of environmental services has been a very old topic, but a proper regular production was by Professor Parth Das Gupta in Cambridge University. In 2021, he's published how to do this valuation and all, and it is for different type of services of nature. There are different ways of doing it. Yeah. Would you like me to elaborate more on that,
Yes,
on
yes,
the
please,
various
ma'am.
types of methods? Yeah. So what happens is, when you are buying a McDonald, or you're buying onions, or you're buying clothes in the market, how do you value it? It is the price that is there. There's a price tag on each of these products, right? Now, when you go to value by say air, or you want to have good water from nature, I'm not talking about the bottled water, what do you have? You don't have anything. There is no price. Yeah. Why? Because it is a public good. It is a public good, so it is not. It cannot be priced. There are externalities, involved in it. There is no way to have a demand or supply for these goods, right? So there is no price to it. They're intangible. They cannot be seen. And then how do I price it? So that is why valuation is very important. And so these are called externalities, actually. It gives positive externalities. And when you have bad air and water, you get negative externalities. These are spillover effects of an activity which are not tangible. Yeah. So you go for valuation, which can bring all of these services into the market. Because once you get this service, which is not in the market, into the market, then you can have a price for it. And for that, valuation is a must.
Okay.
So this is how the
Ma'am,
value.
thanks for
Yes.
your explanation. Building on that, I wanted to know how it is very important to assign economic valuation, and I wanted to know how it is going to help the farmers, especially in India.
Can you repeat the last part of the question?
How it is going to help the farmers in India.
Right. Farmers in India. Okay. So the valuation of these services refers to the process of assigning some monetized value to some economic value to the benefits, right? And
Yeah.
most of these services are undervalued because they don't have direct market prices. So that is why the importance. Yeah. Now, how it helps the farmers is because, again, in the case of farmers, they are putting very valuable natural resources into the production of their goods and services, right? Their goods, actually, not services. So, in their produce, what goes into the pricing in the market is how much supply of onion is there today, what is the demand. Okay, so the demand is more, so let us have the price at 60 rupees a kilo. Okay, today the demand is not less, so let's have it at 30 rupees a kilo. But you haven't thought of the sunlight, you have not thought of the time that has gone in, you have not thought of the water that has gone in. None of these things have been, the valuation has been done. So for your agriculture to be successful, for farmers to be successful, they cannot be subject to the market that is a commercial market. That market needs to incorporate, to bring in the environmental factor, the valuation that economists or any other valuers will put on it, and then that price needs to be incorporated. And that's how things will start changing for them too, the result of, otherwise you are constantly having government giving subsidies, and all that will not be required if you do a proper valuation and know this is the value of the rice, or beet, or whatever it is. So that is, and that the government should take cognizance of. It's a long way, it's a long road. Yes.
That's great perspective, ma'am. And next, could you explain about the main methods used to value environmental services?
Right. So there are there are market methods and non-market methods, depending on whether these goods are tangible or not tangible, right? If they are tangible, then there is a market price to it. Yeah. If they are non-tangible, that is, if you can't see these services, then they are non-market valuations. Let me give you an example. Now, carbon sequestration, for example. Yeah. Carbon sequestration. How will you price it? How can you price it? One of the ways is it is a tons per carbon that we take from the CDM, from the clean development mechanism, and you find out how much emissions is this. Okay, what is the market value? So it is there. It is trading in the market. Yeah, the carbon credit is trading in the market, sometimes at $4, sometimes at $15 per ton, so that you have a market price there. Okay,
Yeah.
but I am going today to the Tekdi, I'm going to the hill for doing my jogging and all that. Yeah. Now, what is the value to that? What am I getting from jogging on the in nature? How do I price that? It's intangible. So
Yeah,
then
yeah,
we have to go for what is called contingent valuation. So you have market valuation, then you have contingent valuation, then there are multiple other ones like you have the hedonic method. Now, what is hedonic method is today you will find that houses which are very highly priced could be
yeah,
around a water body, could be around a hill. Yes. Why? Because nature has had an effect on the pricing of the house.
ex-
So
yeah,
even in Singapore, when I was living in Singapore, because I was on the 28th floor, I was paying a higher price than the person who was playing on the staying on the first floor. Why? Because I've got a better view. Yeah. So this is hedonic pricing. So what we do is we try to find out what is the value that is added because of nature. So
yeah,
that is one of the methods that is that is used. You have contingent valuation where people you ask people, because how do you know what is the what is the value of this intangible asset? So you ask people, what you give them a chance to come in. You have a survey. You talk to them and ask them, what is the value of this? Can this hill be broken? No, cannot be broken. How much are you ready to pay? Are you ready to pay 5 rupees, 10 rupees, 500 rupees, 1,000 rupees? There have been people, like we have done this valuations and the people will say we are ready to pay lakhs. So that is how we find out the valuation in terms of intangible assets. Yeah, so you have then hedonic pricing. Then we also have what is called Delphi method. Delphi method is we ask
oh,
experts of their opinion that, for example, what we did in our project, that so these are the butterfly species that are there in this urban forest. What amount will you assign to their what value will you assign to their existence? That it should not be,
yeah,
it should not be gone, that they exist, that is it.
mm,
So some professors, they gave 2,000. So the Delphi method is like, I mean, in a class probably I'll go into depth, but Delphi is nothing but the oracles of Greek oracles of the Delphis. They would tell you what's in future. So what we do is that, because oracles are big, I mean they are highly educated, so we take experts' opinion and find out how much that is. So these are various types. Travel cost method. I'm going to Kaziranga, for example. What is the value of Kaziranga sanctuary? What is the cost for me to get there? So that travel cost method. So these are various,
okay,
methods. Many, there are multiple methods.
okay. Thank you for
Yeah,
your explanation. That gives very much clearer idea about those methodologies. And my next question is, uh, many of the things, as we just talk about them,
yeah,
many of the things we get for free often are taken for granted.
right.
Uh, like nature gives us so much in that way. Like as you said, clean air, biodiversity, nature, and cultural heritage. So how do we actually put a value on these benefits that do not have a market price?
So for intangible, we usually use contingent valuation. Yeah. So we conduct surveys, ask people how much they are ready to pay. Okay, I'll give
Yeah,
you an example from our case study itself. So there are two types of values. One is the use value, and one is the existence value. Today, you're
oh,
sitting here. You're not in Himalayas. You're
yeah,
sitting here, wherever you are sitting, wherever I'm sitting. We are not in the Himalayas, right? So
yeah.
tomorrow, if the Himalayas are destroyed, are you okay? No, for us, it's
Absolutely
very
not.
important. Absolutely no. It's very important for us. So then, how much are you ready to pay for it so that it exists? Yeah. So this is called existence value. Use value. I've got. I go every day to. I have restored this Lakaki lake that I go to walk every day. So this lake, I'm using it every day, right? So this is a use value. So how much am I ready to pay so that nothing happens to this? So these are the ways that we find out, willingness to pay. How much are we ready to pay? So this is what is done. We put surveys. We have citizens' willingness to pay. We find out that way. Then we this also captures the intangible. This captures the intangible values. Yeah.
Yeah,
And yeah, we have to work around biases for that, but then that is for a more detailed lecture. There are ways that
that's very
we handle the biases. Yeah.
yeah. That's very insightful, ma'am. Thank you. And moving forward, since we know that Bharat is very deeply rooted in spirituality and cultural values, what kind of challenges do you see when trying to measure intangible benefits like spiritual or cultural value in environmental evaluation?
Right, right. So the key challenges are, one is subjectivity, yeah. That is, spiritual and cultural values. They vary up around communities, across communities. So, for example, in the case study we did, we have got on in this case, we had to take the heritage value. There is something which is very old on that property, or there is cultural value. There are temples over there. Now, in Pune, where we have so many environmentalists, they put a high value on, or when we did the survey, they put a very high value on the biodiversity, that it has to be, the trees have to be protected on. But they did not put much much value on the temples. Okay, so that there is subjectivity. Now, if probably I was, let us say, in some village, probably they would have put a higher value on the temples. So there is that
Yeah.
subjectivity element, yeah. And then it is a non-monetary, since it's a non-monetary nature of the market in terms of, so to, again, it becomes difficult how we have to depend on this, on people to give their opinion. Measurement sometimes becomes difficult. Then sometimes you have to oversimplify things. Then sometimes equity and representation is not there. You want it to be equitable, so you want the poor people also to be part of it. Then it can be dynamic, or it can be contextual. So it can be a little elusive. So these are the challenges you have to work with when it is intangible.
I think it is even more tough or it is even more challenging to measure all these things in a diversified country like India,
Yes,
because
it's true.
the culture and heritage changes for every 100 kilometers in our country.
True. That is typical of environment. So, what we say as environmentalists is, even a meter away
Yeah,
from another site, even a meter away, all the parameters can change. So
sure.
that's hence, yeah, hence all of our environmental valuation has to be very, very empirical on the ground. We cannot go to Google. We cannot go to ChatGPT. We cannot go to Copilot. We can't go to AI. You have to be there on the ground where you are going to be doing the evaluation and take the empirical research, do empirical data collection. And that is the only way you can have reliable results.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for your explanation, ma'am. And this brings
Yeah.
me to the next question. Now, how does putting a value on nature help to make the mechanisms like carbon credits or payment for ecosystem services work effectively?
Yes, that's true. It is very true. Because how did we come to carbon credits? Let us say what happened. How did we come to carbon credits? What was the objective? The objective was to remove carbon emissions from
Nature.
nature. Did it have
Yeah.
a market price before? It did not have a market price before. So now we had to come to a pricing. So
Yeah.
we had IPCC, which published its report in 2006. They did a very detailed study of the amount, not only of carbon dioxide, but all those gases which also contribute to climate change. Like, for example, methane. Methane is 24%, 24 times, not percent, 24 times more potent than carbon dioxide in creating carbon in the air. Yeah. So greenhouse gases, we are talking about greenhouse gases. So, what they did was, they did a detailed study of how much one carbon ton of carbon would come to, for in terms of pricing. Yeah, so that is what payment for ecosystem services. When we talk about payment of PES, so they went about what is the, so for, you find out what the climate change risk, you find out all of these things, and so 1 ton of carbon, what sort of harm it can do, or removing that 1 ton, what good it can do, and that is how the then the payments are payment. This was arrived at. So you have now various tools. You got, I don't know how many. We work with carbon accounting, so I don't know, maybe 100, 200 tools that we use for calculating emissions for different types of emissions, different types of products, different types of reducing carbon. And that is how the payment system for carbon credits happened. Now, if this was not there, it would not have been possible to reduce carbon in the air, to reduce greenhouse gases, to reduce climate change. So this is very important for us to. This valuation system is very important, and it is very scientific, mind you, very scientific. The quantification of benefits, the market creation. The market is created now for carbon, right? And then the project viability. So all of RDF, for example, now pelletizer. So how much carbon is it reducing? So these valuation methods really help in getting carbon into the and climate change into the market. So and how to remove it. So these are very important.
Thank
Yeah.
you for your explanation, ma'am. And I believe we all have responsibility to protect the nature since we benefit from it every single day. When it comes to corporate sector, do you think putting a price on nature can actually improve corporate accountability?
It does very much so, and in many ways. In many ways, yeah. First of all, it gives the companies who are polluting, it gives them a device to know how much they are polluting in terms of money, right?
Yeah.
In terms of the company then wanting to make a policy around it, yeah, it helps them to, okay, this is the amount we are causing, this is the amount of harm we are causing, so this is how we should do it. Those people who are not harming, but they want to do it through CSR. They want to use CSR to, reduce climate change around. It gives them a valuation, how they can how they can, do a good CSR. And for in terms of the government, which is the most important, is sometimes people are only going after, I mean, that is market. Yeah, market is what those people are all wanting to go for higher profit, right?
Yeah.
So for them, any amount that they have to spend for reducing climate change or preserving nature may not occur to them. They may not want to get engaged there. So the government's duty is what then? To bring in the proper tax, the proper fines, the proper policy that if you are having, say, polluting, you are having, say, paper production industry, or you're having textiles, which is highly polluting, or newspapers, then if you do not stop your pollution, then this is what you will have to pay. This is what fine you will have to pay. If you want to avoid the fine, then you better put the right systems for cleaning mechanisms. So
Yeah.
all this, how do you find out unless there is a valuation to it? So that is why the market price is very important. Monetizing, getting them into the market is very important. It's called
That's
internalizing the externalities. It is called.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. And coming up the next, we know industries contribute. We talked about the contribution of industries, how they are damaging. And now I wanted to know that we often hear that economic growth and environmental protection are in conflict. So do they really have a uh, do they really have to compete, or they can complement each other? What practical approaches can help us achieve the growth, still protecting the ecosystems?
The trade-off, where there can be trade-off. Okay, so now let us come to brass tacks. What happens today is, how do we measure growth for a country or in the world, for example, is your gross domestic product, right? In your gross domestic product, you are pricing everything but the nature. You're not putting what you have taken, steel, you've taken iron ore, you've taken all of these things to make energy or burning coal, but you have never taken that price in it, right? So it is not a reflection. It is not a reflection of the true GDP. Is actually not a true reflection. So if we can change some things in how we look at growth, one, if we can change our production to environmentally friendly, two, and we are doing many, there are various things being done for that. If we can change the industry itself, can we change the industry away from consumerism to an industry that promotes nature? This was something I remember I had shared in a forum in 2007, 2008, when they had asked, how can we move forward? I said, our students, we are developing them for MBA, we are developing them for engineers. Okay, yes, engineers also environment users, but if we can if we can change their opportunities from industry that gobbles up and pollutes in the nature to to promoting nature. So I have so many students from my environmental science who do sustainability, and so many of my economic students, when they shifted once after they did my course, they shifted to sustainability, and and they went to Chicago University. They went. Some of them are in Paris. They are doing climate change. So they are going to get well, they're going to get good, what you call, incomes after that. They're going to be absorbed into Europe and US. They can come back to India, and there's so much there for careers. Can we not have consumerist production, and can we have production which promotes nature? And we have more people working for, and I'm seeing it's increasing manifold. People who are in carbon accounting. So there's so many things in engineering, nature's engineering. You have environmental economists, you have environmental science. All of these people who can, that way it will really become an ideal situation. Instead of moving towards consumerism, and if we can go to that, then we can have GDP growth,
Yeah.
but with not so much of polluting of this. Even if you see solar, which is
Yeah.
replacing so well in India, which is replacing coal, or wind energy, thermal energy, hydro. So see, all of these are actually promoting nature. So any
Yeah.
growth in that is actually going to be good GDP, of course. China, you see, is such high GDP with all the wind energy and the solar energy. So your economy can do very well without the resources being polluted. So
Yes.
I hope I'm answering your question. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am, for giving that explanation. Yes, let us hope for many more students to come up for these sustainable courses or sustainability career options. Uh, then we are talking about the students. So, if the students or the young professionals are interested in learning about the latest tools in this field, so can you just mention some of the interesting or exciting new tools or innovations that are improving how we value environmental services today?
Huge number. Now, for example, innovation is a huge part of how environment is moving and how employment within the environment is moving. Yeah. So you have AI, you have AI and machine learning. I'm using AI and machine learning in one of the projects that I'm doing, Waste Index project. Then there is remote sensing and GIS. So that gives real-time spatially explicit data. Data is very important for nature, environment. So students can be there. My students are using GIS. They're using remote sensing. So now we're talking about technology. How technology also moves, and so we are matching students' careers to the moving innovative technology, right? AI and machine learning. Then we have what is called natural capital accounting. That means you do not have GDP as per the what you're producing, but also the natural capital that you have. India has got a huge amount of natural capital, so we take that into the accounting. Then invest in this policy integration. We have multi-service valuation. We have what you call blockchain, carbon markets. We have citizen science tools, because it's very difficult to get your contingent valuation, the intangible, without to capture it. So best way is have citizen science tools, like which will capture the cultural and the spiritual values that the people put. Blockchain. I'm, for example, now the carbon crediting, the projects that we have done, our clients are converting their carbon credits into blockchain.
Yeah.
you know So these are all new areas where students can sustainability. Oh my God, that is such a huge. So many of my students are working with international and Indian sustainability companies, and they're earning well. Uh, some of my students are in what you call sanctuaries. Those who like nature, would like to work with nature. They are working in sanctuaries. One of my students is working on a for sustainability in a equestrian farm. That is outside Pune, and they're all earning well. She's getting a good amount. And she's just an intern. She's earning something like 30,000 with food. She gets good food. She gets a lovely house to stay in, and she's just a beginner. So this is we are talking about natural. But if they go into engineering, now this is another very important one. If you go into environmental engineering, if you know NEERI, which is the environmental engineering top apex body of research body of India in environmental engineering, oh, that is a fabulous career for students. It's government, lots of research, and it's highly technical. So environmental engineers, environmental analysts, environmental scientists, wildlife biologists, conservationists, environmental consultants, health and safety. Yeah, so we did one project in Mahabaleshwar where the water was contaminated, and people were having health issues.
Okay.
So then we had research, and we had my students who had passed in the MSc, they came as the research RAs with me, and then they were well placed after that. So these are all possible, all possible. In fact, we do not want students to go for engineering and MBA and all that. We want them to do the environment and come into the environment sector so that we redress all the things we have spoiled, all the things that we've polluted in the industrial revolution, especially. Not even before that, the anthropogenic, changes we've brought. It will take a huge industry to bring it back to normal. So, and the good thing about students is they come with a very fresh, new, innovative, technically, so what they contribute is huge. What they contribute is
Yeah.
huge. They can bring a lot of innovation. You see so many startups and so many things that the students are doing. Entrepreneurs, they become entrepreneurs, and doing well. So that's if I
If
answered
any
your question.
students, yeah, yeah, very well. We got very insightful answer, ma'am. If any
Yes.
students watching our live session, please explore the career opportunities. The world is waiting for you. The world
Yes.
needs you more.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. And my next question is, what is the biggest misconception people having about the environmental services? Are they going to think just we are putting a price on the nature?
Uh, the valuation is it simply the price of nature? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, yeah. What is
So
the misconception on that?
misconceptions. Oh yes.
Yeah.
So this was again something that happened with us when we were doing the valuation project. Uh, the so the survey went out to so many people, and there was one environmental activist group.
Okay.
And they called themselves experts, in fact, and they came and challenged us in a big way. That
Okay.
how can you put a value on this? If you are going to go and put the value, and if you're going to publish this research, then it was on this one of the hills in Pune. Yeah, it is a very beautiful hill, and the government was trying to build on it, and we were trying to stop it. They're trying to tunnel it and all that, which will spoil it completely. So they said if you put a price on it, then the government will say that we will give you this amount of money, and but we will make these things on the hill. And I
Mhm.
said, you know, the valuation of a natural service is far above any building, far above any GDP sometimes. That small little
Yes.
hill, 10 square kilometers, was giving something like 11.7 trillion rupees valuation. So how is the government going to, this was a misconception. They were saying, no, you will
Yes.
do that, and then they will say we'll pay and we'll. So it's not possible for them to pay something, an amount like this.
Yes.
So there are conceptions like that. Will it be really properly? If you do, methodology is the thing. Methodology. So we have very good methodology for doing it. You follow it strictly, be scientific, you'll always get a good outcome. So you needn't worry about it, no? So we have to start somewhere. It is impossible to value Amazon forests. It's impossible to value Kaziranga and all of these. They're far
Yeah.
above what we can do the valuation. But somewhere we have to come to a certain number in a proper method, using a proper method that has been set by scientists. And you get
Yes.
an amount which is very big, in fact. So it's not possible to misuse it. So
Yeah.
these are the
Thank you. Thank you for
challenges.
explaining that, ma'am. So we came to the end of the session. Before we wrap up, could you please share a real-time or recent case study related to environmental valuation that helps us to better understand today's discussion?
Yes. So this was the case study I was talking about, and I always bring this person who advocates for that case into class. So what was happening is in sometime in 2006, I can say 6 or 7, we started this movement to conserve the hills around Pune. Yeah.
Okay.
So Veta Tekdi, as we call it Veta Tekdi, because it's got a mandir of the Veta Shivji, which is Veta, his ghost form. So it's called Veta Tekdi because there's a temple there. This temple, this is what they were trying to do. The corporators and the politicians were trying to bring in projects that will tunneling through it, bringing reality, so that because they will get very good price for the buildings they will
Yeah.
build there. But that amount that will go will be to private people. That's
Yes.
not going. It's
Exactly.
not an inclusive policy. When you do something like that, you are not helping the poor people. That you are not taking poor people along with you. You're doing
Yes.
something that one, two is you are also destroying nature. So what I did was I brought this person who wanted me to publish this research. So I said, let's go ahead with the students themselves. And I teach both environmental economics to economics and Oakland Institute and also to science students, environmental science students in MIT. So I took both my environmental science students. They did the valuation carbon, how much of oxygen is being produced, and what is the price of biodiversity. And what was very astonishing was that we have a lot of aquifers in Pune. That is, this all these hills. They are very old. This one is 6 billion million years old. So what happens is in these natural reserves, the water gets accumulated, clean water, over years and
Okay.
years, 1,000 years, 2,000 years. So it's very clean water, and there are aquifers inside the hills which nobody can see. Now you are going to do the tunneling. First thing you are going to do is Pune has got horrible rivers, so the water is so contaminated. We have to get it from Khadakwasla, and water which is good water that is being given by the resources, you're going to build something through it, contaminate it, the supply will be gone, right? So we did the aquifers, the water from the aquifers, how much was it? And I think I've shared with you what the entire valuation has been. So we got the valuation for the aquifers. There was wetlands where we had a lot of biodiversity that has been created. It was a quarry before, but it's become wetlands now. So all the bird life, owls, so various things, water, methane-eating bacteria. They found methane-eating bacteria which they have not found anywhere else. They found here in this wetlands that have been created. So step by step, each we had groups of students doing each of these valuations.
Okay.
Then we did that, and then my economics students, they came in to wrap it all up in a proper research paper.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then we got it published, and now we know what the value is. So tomorrow in court, if something happens, when it goes to court, we have a published report. This is the value. So you cannot touch this, this reserve, this urban forest. We did it an urban forest. So it's a case study that we did, and we presented in Athens, in Greece,
Okay.
and yeah, soon we have been also presenting it here in India, but it was a big training for all the students how to write a paper, how to do the valuation, so they will go ahead into the world with this all these skills.
Yes.
So that was
Yes.
wonderful. Yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing these valuable insights. Before we end our session, we will take a few questions from our
Sure.
Yes. Okay.
Sure. Sure.
So, what major sustainability trends do you foresee shaping India's environmental and economic policies over the next 10 years?
Next decade or next decades?
Next
Uh,
10 years, next decade.
Next decade. So sustainability, what I see, the thrust points that are doing very well are our wind farms and our solar farms. Yeah. Um, I remember in Texas, well, when I was in US and Texas, when you go to Texas, the entire desert land is filled with farms and farms of solar. Yeah. So when I come back to India, I said, we should have something like that, and we are going there now. So that is
Okay.
wonderful. So that takes you away from one very big source of carbon, which is creating power through coal.
Okay.
There are three huge polluters which are climate risk and which give greenhouse gases. One is the
Mm-hmm.
power industry. Yeah. One is the
Yeah.
transport because of the amount of transport that's happening, and the third is the waste. So in between these three, have a lot of wind farms that are happening. We are having a lot of solar, and we are
Solar,
going towards green hydrogen. Yeah.
hydrogen.
So these are wonderful things that are happening in this one. Now that is to do with fossil fuel. So we are stepping away. So that's a wonderful thing. Now for transport, we are doing very good in terms of EV vehicles. It's wonderful to
Yes.
see so many two wheelers and so many four wheelers which are on EV. It's wonderful to see waste to energy. So you have CNG, you have all these. We have in Pune buses which are zero emissions. Which are green, which are also on CNG,
Yes.
rickshaws or cars. And I'm sure there's so many cities in India that are doing the same thing, where we are shifting away from carbon emitting. So transport is the second one. Yeah. Now, third one is to do with waste. That is something we have still not come on top of, but we are getting there. We are getting there. We just recently got how many million? Yeah. We got something like 4 points, no, not 4.7 crores. If I take just 40 cents per carbon credit, we got around 4.7 crores of rupees for one waste management, which is going very well in Maharashtra, Nashik, it's doing very well. So if you can replicate more of these projects, which are doing such a wonderful job in waste management, if we can populate India with that, imagine the employment that will happen. One, in the green sector, and two is that is the only sector which is left now. Where this is the challenge. We need to improve this very well. So
Yes.
hopefully things will happen in that area soon too. They have it only came into light in COP 28. That is the only
Yes.
time that they realized how much waste is contributing to GHGs and climate change. So now that is coming under the lens, and hopefully we'll have that industry going too. So these are the
Hopefully, our country should come up with new technologies that could, uh,
yes, innovation is very important. Technology and
yes,
innovation helps the environment to get better for sure. Yes.
yes, yes. Ma'am, next question is there any chance uh, ecosystem valuation to be made mandatory as it is already included in TNFD reporting?
We are working towards it. We are working towards it. Whenever I'm in the forums where the government policy is there, I keep bringing it to the attention of the policymakers. Nothing yet, though strongly, nothing yet strongly yet. But in India, I'm talking about in India. But I'm sure with because that is one thing I noted about. I have traveled very extensively, lived abroad extensively. So one thing I noticed about India is our policy making is very good. It's on par with the international. Yeah, it's on par
Okay.
because we have very good experts who are making this policy. Where do we fail in the implementation and ground level?
Yes.
We don't have those systems in place. And once that happens, I think it's going to be once, and everybody is saying that. So somewhere the government will take that into account, and the regulation should go and proper freedom should come in. Have I answered your question? I don't know though.
Yes, 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 yes,
Yeah.
yes. Then One more question is like, what are the economic implications of deforestation when ecosystem services are valued?
So deforestation, as you can see, what is happening with Amazon, which is very crucial for the climate change risk in for the world. It is increasing the climate change risk so much because the deforestation, you take away the nature is giving you for free all of these services. It has got a huge service of carbon sequestration for us. Yeah. So when you go for deforestation, you're taking a huge service available to take away the carbon from the world. So that is, it's very terrible. And then forest is not only to do with carbon and of course also oxygen production, but also biodiversity. Biodiversity is so important for two. There is a balance that nature creates. And whenever you cut something out, you do not know how it starts affecting you or affecting the world. You know, this huge, in Norway, there was this huge glacier which just got dumped into the, uh, it was an earthquake, like, huge earthquake, you know. So you don't know what you do when you mess around with these things, you know. So is there anything else that you were asking in your question besides?
Uh, like yeah, almost we got the answer from the your explanation, ma'am.
Yeah.
We will come to the next question, like how environmental valuation is helping policy formulation and natural resource management.
Yes, it is. For natural resource management, it is an essential. So we take it under this SEEA, you know, the accounting I was talking about. We take the value of this, and also TEEB is there. There are various things, platforms which have come out with the environmental valuation. So, for example, in SEEA, we take into account all our natural resources,
Yeah.
the valuation of all the natural resources. You know, so but it is going in positively for, yeah, it is going positively.
Thank you so much for your valuable time and sharing all your insights and experiences with us today. And your perspectives have given us very deeper understanding of the topic, and we are very grateful for your time.
Yeah.
On the International Women's Day, we are happy to share a conversation with you. Big thank you for a big thank you for all our audience joining us and being part of this meaningful discussion. And I thank our CEO Meenakshi ma'am for giving this opportunity. And once again, happy International Women's Day to all the women out there. Ma'am, any closing
Yes,
two
it's
sentences?
always, for me, it's very important to connect to the, you know, to the students and to motivate them to come to change and come into environment. So I'm sure, I hope I have made that, you know, thanks to all the students over here who have attended, but thanks to all the women who can also come in, all the men who have also who can come from other things, come into environment. That's it. Thank you so much for having me too. Thank you for listening to whatever blah blah I did.
It's
Yeah.
very, it's our pleasure, and it's very informative and insightful session. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for joining the session. We are ending this session now. Thank you.